Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Jason Atkinson, and I'm here to educate, encourage, and inspire you to make real and lasting change. So today I want to talk about going back to the basics. We've got the Healthy Holiday Challenge happening right now in the months of November and December, so centered around Thanksgiving and Christmas. Started the day after Halloween, and it's going to end on New Year's Day. So we got 4 holidays there that are being covered. And the reason I chose that specific time frame to do an online challenge is that's when everyone goes off track with their program. They use the excuse they don't have time to work out, they couldn't eat properly because there were too many parties or festive occasions. Okay, my basics, when it comes to going back to the basics, this is what I want to say. If you're talking about achieving or maintaining a healthy body weight, if you have been obese or if you're currently obese or have metabolic damage, the key principles are going to be exercise and eating properly. Okay. Now the problem is if you ask 10 people how do you eat right and how do you exercise, you're going to get 10 different answers. Everyone seems to have their own little custom concept. My frame of reference is I was an obese child. I was obese my entire life. I had a little moderate success in my early 20s, but by the time I reached my mid-30s, I was 254 pounds. I was about 33% body fat, which is clinically obese, and I was suffering some metabolic damage. I had elevated blood pressure, blood sugar, and I was just on track to not have a great outcome in life. So I chose at that time to turn everything around, and through my coaching platform now, I try to bring that information and experience to you, the viewer, the listener, the client, so that you can learn from my mistakes and not have to repeat them. So when it comes to going back to the basics, we're talking about eating right and exercising. And the way I try to make that as simple as possible is we need to eat in such a way that is going to allow us to get sufficient nutrients and energy without going over on energy or being too low on nutrients. I hope that's an easy way of saying it. 2 things that we're trying to get from our food: energy and nutrients. Energy foods are fat and carbohydrate. Protein is not exactly an energy source. It can be turned into energy if the body really needs it, if there's like almost no carbs or fat coming in. But that's a very rare circumstance. Your body doesn't really like to use protein as energy, so it's an inefficient energy source. But the great thing about it is protein is very filling, and the more protein you eat, the less of everything else you're going to eat. So in a future video, I'm going to get into the topic of ultra-processed food, so I hope you'll go ahead and subscribe and come back for that. That's going to be next couple of episodes coming out. But the basics, okay, so we're eating high protein, low carbohydrate during the week for 5 days in a row. Go back and watch my previous video about a cyclical ketogenic diet. This is the approach that I follow year round. This is the basics for me. 5 days, high protein, low carbohydrate, ketogenic level of carbohydrates. 2 days with cheat meals, reward meals, refeed meals, however you want to say that are higher in energy and not necessarily so concerned with the nutrient density. But during the week, I'm trying to get my body into a state where it's going to be losing body fat, where I'm going to be burning body fat for energy through my exercise activities, preserving muscle through a combination of strength training and high protein intake. Those are the 2 things you need to preserve muscle tissue. And then on the weekends, shifting into a higher energy state, refilling the glycogen stored in the muscles, getting ready to do it again the following week. So that pattern has been very effective for me, has allowed me to lose 75 pounds and maintain that for several years. And hundreds of people that I've worked with over the years have gotten similar results using that approach. Now, it's not all eating. Exercise is part of it, and I kind of alluded to the different types of training. So you have strength training or resistance training, and then you have cardiovascular activity, which, strength training can be lifting any kind of weights, barbells, dumbbells, machines, resistance bands, body weight, calisthenics is part of that. That's strength training, resistance training. A pull-up, a push-up, those are all resistance training. So you don't necessarily have to lift weights to do resistance training. The other type of exercise is cardiovascular, We're talking about steady state type aerobic activities like walking, running, cycling, swimming, etc. Rowing, if you go to a gym that has rowing machines, or battle ropes. Those are different ways you can do cardiovascular activity. So the key behind that is you're just trying to increase your heart rate. You want to get above a certain level so that you're just basically burning more energy or calories. Energy is measured in calories, so we could say you're burning calories or you're burning dietary energy by doing that. Now the idea is if your carbohydrate intake is low enough during the week, you're going to be burning more body fat to make up the difference in energy. If you're eating less energy than you're expending, that energy has to come from somewhere. Body fat is stored energy on your body. So if you have stored energy on your body, but you don't have energy, that means you're not able to break that energy down and use it effectively. That's a metabolic disorder. Metabolism is the process that your body uses to convert food into energy. That's it. Okay, we're converting it from the stored form, which is a chemical energy, and converting that into mechanical energy to do work, specifically what we're doing. Now, the basics. Eat a certain way, train a certain way, okay? 7 days in a week. You don't have to be on track 100% of the time 7 days a week. You can do 5 workouts per week. That's 5 days a week, 30 to 60 minutes, strength training and cardiovascular, or one or the other. You know, at the low end of that, I would say every other day, 30 minutes. At the high end, an hour a day. That would be some cardio and some strength training. That would be ideal volume. That's what I do, and that's what I recommend. So combining that with eating a certain way, limiting your energy intake, specifically limiting carbohydrate and fat. We're not concerned about protein being an energy source. So that's the reason why I don't really work with calories. The calories concept is fundamentally flawed. First of all, it is some outdated, non-scientific concept that's based on some experiments that were done back in the 1850s. Somebody set some things on fire and measured the amount of heat that it released, and that's how we came up with the calories that we use today. The main flaw behind that concept is carbohydrate and protein each have 4 calories per gram, but they don't do the same thing in the body. Carbohydrate is pure energy with almost no nutrients. Protein is almost pure nutrients with no energy. Fat is a little bit of both. It's nutrient and it's energy. It's a little bit of both. So with carbohydrate, you're basically just fueling the machine. Okay, you can function from a nutritional standpoint. You can function entirely from protein and fat. You really don't even have any dietary requirement for carbohydrate at all, none. If you never ate a gram of carbohydrate, you would be fine. First of all, your body can convert protein into glycogen. Okay, we do need glucose, that's true, but we don't have to eat carbohydrate to get glucose. We can convert protein into glucose. Or we can just eat a very small amount of carbohydrate. You don't have to completely eliminate it. The less, the better. You know, if you're talking about a moderate reduction, you're going to go from standard American diet, which is probably about 300 grams per day. You cut that in half, that's 150. Okay, 150 grams a day. That is, 600 calories from carbohydrate. Okay, so now you're at a moderate carbohydrate intake. As long as you've got storage space in your muscles for that, and you're insulin sensitive enough to use it as energy, and you're active enough to burn it off, you can eat more carbohydrates and still lose weight or still lose body fat. That is entirely true. Contest-ready bodybuilder, for example, they have to eat carbohydrates for energy because they don't have any body fat. Their body fat gets so low that they don't have any reserve. If they don't eat, they don't have any energy. It's true. And protein is not a source of energy. So carbohydrate or fat are the other options. So they're going to be burning carbohydrate during that strength training, high intensity type effort, more so than steady state type aerobic activity and light, intensity weight training, which is what I use with my clients. But the point there is you need an energy source. So you can't eat 100% pure protein. So just build your meals around protein. Try to limit the carbohydrate. My lowest level would be 25 grams per day. That's considered like a ketogenic level. But like I said, it's not necessary to keep it that low in order to get results. 50 grams, 75 grams, 100, 150, 200, depending on your health, your activity, and your storage capacity. Really dictates how much, and that's the part we have to kind of fine tune. So with protein and fat, it's easy enough. You get 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. You limit your fat intake to about a 0.5 gram per pound of body weight per day. That's roughly going to cover your basal metabolic rate. And then whatever energy needs you have over and above that, you can use stored glycogen in the muscle, which is carbohydrate or glucose stored in the muscle. You can use some of that, and you can use some of the stored body fat to power your activities. Okay, so basically we're just reducing the energy only substrate. But the other great thing about that low carb approach is it keeps your insulin levels stable so that you're not hungry all the time. Now, me personally, if I eat any kind of high carbohydrate like rice or cereal, bread or pasta or anything like that, it sends my blood sugar up, and when it crashes, I'm ravenously hungry. I could raid the cabinet and eat everything in the house. It's not a pretty sight. So I don't want to continue that pattern, and I found that reducing carbohydrate for 5 days in a row, that's all you got to do. That's 100%. Just look at each day as being 20% towards the big goal for the week, which was a score of 100. So for me, that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Carbs are very, very low. Friday afternoon, after the weigh-in, maybe in the evening, that's the time to do a carb meal, refeed, junk food meal, go out to eat, have dinner, whatever, cheat meal, however you want to say it. And then stay consistent with your workouts, stay consistent with your meal plan, and you can still get results no matter what else is going on. If you miss a workout because you had a Christmas party to go to, or it's Christmas Day, maybe you're not going to work out on Christmas Day, hey, great, get right back on track the next day. That's really all there is to it. Same thing with nutrition. If you're eating and training in a certain way, that one day that you go off the rails and eat too much, macaroni and cheese and stuffing and mashed potatoes and all that stuff and pie, that would have no more metabolic impact than any ordinary week. That's what we do on a 7-day cycle. We have 1 or 2 days a week where it's basically Thanksgiving for about 4 hours, okay? And the rest of the time, you can just continue on the framework that I laid out there. So if you have questions about any of this, if you want one-on-one consultation with me, I'm actively seeking online clients. There will be a link below where you can sign up to do a complimentary 30-minute consultation with me. I do have some sponsored links and some products for sale. I'm going to link that in the comments below as well. If you're enjoying this show, you feel like you're benefiting from it, you want to share that with a friend or family member, pick up one of the books or audio programs that I've created, pick up something from one of our sponsors, help keep this show going. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be back with more soon.